Hey everyone, it's Dave here, and I hope you're having a good day so far in this increasingly uncertain and tumultuous world. So I've called this video, Trump has subverted democracy, but he's not the only one. Now I'll come to the but he's not the only one aspect of it later in the video, but I do need to talk about what happened yesterday, about Trump himself and around, and about what this means for America and for the rest of the world as well, and where we stand. So before I start, if you do like my content, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you get updates as soon as I've done a video, and leave any comments and let me know what you think about what I'm going to say in this video. So yeah, I, like probably everybody else, was shocked around what happened yesterday in Washington DC, the capital of the home of the free world. Now, I've kept a very open mind around the US election since November the 3rd. I've not paid much attention to the mainstream media, because I don't pay much attention to the mainstream media because they are liars and propagators of propaganda, as I talk about on many occasions. So I do try to cast my eye far and wide with regard to the stories that I try to pay attention to, in order that I can try to interpret what may be happening in a more balanced way than I would be able to if I just paid attention to the mainstream media. So yes, there were many allegations of widespread electoral fraud, allegations that weren't paid attention to by the mainstream media, and certainly weren't paid attention to in a way that they would have been if the boot was on the other foot. However, as far as I can see, Trump and his legal team, as was their right, explored every legal avenue that was open to them, as was their right, without success. So the question then is, at what point do you accept that you lost? At what point does loser's consent kick in? Now, there's two ways of looking at this. Either Trump lost that election fair and square, in which case he should have conceded a few days ago once the legal process was complete and a peaceful transition of power can commence for the next president, Joe Biden. Or there was subterfuge on such an astronomical and incomprehensible scale that would blow out the water anything that the world's ever seen, and that would involve the complicity of, I don't know, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. I was going to say stranger things have happened, but they haven't, because it would be the biggest story ever if that was the case. And I'm aware still of what some are saying with regard to what's going to happen next. But the conclusion and what's going to happen next, i.e. that Trump is still going to be president, the conclusion that I have come to is that Trump lost that election. I don't believe what these people are saying. I had an open mind, and all the cards were on the table for me, simply because the mainstream media are unhinged and they do lie. But on the balance of evidence, and as far as I can see it, in my opinion, Trump lost the election. And I think it's a massive shame, because I thought up until this point he was a great president. I think he did great things despite how the mainstream media portrayed him. And this is going to taint his presidency, and there will be a stain on his legacy, because he has shown himself to be not just disrespectful of democracy, but anti-democratic. And this is the interesting thing, because I think that we live in an age where in the Western world, democracy is not respected and cherished, just in the same way that freedom isn't. So in that way, Donald Trump is the personification of the age. He is the personification of anybody, whether the mainstream media, the political establishment, the cultural establishment, the celebrity world, the big business, or the average man on the street. Anyone who has expressed any anti-democratic sentiment or tried to sabotage democratic events, which I'm going to come to now. So yes, I'll come back to that in a second. What does this mean now? Who knows what's going to happen? I think what it does mean is that democracy in the US and the US Constitution has been undermined in possibly the most serious way possible. So I don't know what's going to happen next. The integrity of the US political system has been shaken to its foundations. Maybe now every subsequent US election will be compromised. Unless there is something that's going to come out in the next day or so, next couple of days, that will paint a radically different picture and that will shock the world, which I don't think there will be. Then it leaves the US and the future of the US as a world-leading democracy, as a leader of the free world, and thus the rest of the developed, allegedly democratic, free Western world under threat. So what a stain on his legacy. What a disappointment. What a taint and a slur on the character of the man. So that's what I've got to say about Donald Trump. However, what gets me is the sheer hypocrisy of many in the mainstream media, the political commentariat, the cultural establishment, celebrities, and also anybody at all who hasn't been able to accept previous democratic events. Two big examples: the Trump election win in 2016, which was not accepted from the moment it was declared. There was a 4-year campaign, first of all, to overturn the election result, or not accept Trump as president, because he was allegedly the beneficiary of Russian collusion, Russian interference. Then the attempts to, unproven, then the attempts to impeach Trump as well, unproven. And in the UK, the 4.5-year quest to cancel a democratic outcome that was voted on by 17.4 million people. The biggest ever democratic mandate ever given by the British people in any election or referendum. The sheer hypocrisy and lack of self-awareness of so many people is staggering. Yes, they're right what they say about Trump. I agree with them. But I do not respect their opinion if at the same time they were the ones who were burning American flags, who were shouting cancel Brexit, who were putting obstacles in the way of Brexit being delivered, who were signing petitions to cancel Brexit, who were forming political parties to have another referendum, who were trying to impeach a democratically elected US president. I don't have any respect for any of those people, because they don't respect democracy, and I don't really respect anybody who doesn't respect democracy. Have an open mind until all of the legal avenues, the democratic avenues, have been explored. Absolutely 100% yes. And when you get to a point where there are no more legal avenues to explore, then, and there were some legal avenues to explore with regard to Brexit, for example. Yes, I think the motivation was wrong, but they were legally entitled to do it, then there needs to come a point where you say, no, we lost. Doesn't matter how ideologically attached you are to the idea or to the politician or to the cult figure, and Donald Trump is a cult figure, just as the European Union is a cult institution. At some point, people have to have the emotional intelligence, which clearly Donald Trump is lacking, to admit that they lost, they were on the losing side. So Trump he is the problem, but he's also a manifestation of a wider problem in Western society, which is so sick that it no longer realises the importance of democracy. And I say the society doesn't, large sections of the society and the individual in it don't. Which is why it took so long in the UK, again, allegedly another democratic country, and democracy did prevail in the end, which is why it took so long for the UK to extricate itself from the European Union. Which is why you had left-wing protesters burning American flags, setting fire to their own towns and cities when Trump was first elected in 2016 and subsequently in the years after. And now we're seeing it from the right as well. I think, as you know, the main threat in our world, which is manifested already and is present right across our political, media, academic, cultural institutions, is the far left. But with what those protesters did yesterday, they have no right to criticise the Antifas, the Black Lives Matters, etc., because they're no better. They also have no respect for democracy whatsoever. And the world it feels like a tinderbox now. It really does. There is too much instability, too much. How this eventually plays out, well, it is playing out as we speak. How it all ends, I can't come up with a positive answer to that. I see only carnage, actually. I really do. And, it is the ultimate damning indictment of human beings and human societies, that the only way truly to gain perspective, the only way truly to promote peace is through war. And I think that's where we're headed. I really do. I think at some point there's going to be, who's the big winners in all this? China. China, they must be laughing at the West. They must. They're the big winners. I think ultimately there will be war with China, which may be the only thing that unites the West, which is just tearing itself to pieces. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it might be the logical conclusion. The old world order and the new world order going to war with each other, the West against China. I don't know, but for the time being, our Western societies are sick, corrupt to the absolute core. And yes, that means many individuals within it. And as I keep saying, change. We're all part of the problem. We've created this society. We can all choose to be part of the solution, and that is the important thing now. How can each individual make a decision to bring about a positive change in this world? And I guess it really starts with examining and challenging our own beliefs. Yeah, I've changed my mind on Trump. He's proven himself to be no better than a third world tin pot dictator. But I also wish people who are criticising him for being anti-democratic, for subverting democracy, would realise that they too are advocates of that. The ones who can't accept democratic outcomes, who are obsessed with creating stories that their side is right. that their side must be in power, that what they believe in is the truth. And that's the thing, truth. Truth destroys societies quicker than lies, because there is no such thing as the truth. There is no such thing as the truth. Everything's perceptions, everything's interpretation. There is such a thing as personal truth. And I ask again, what is your personal truth? And in doing that, we can demolish the lie. The lies that pervade this world and that are destroying this world. So, there we go. Let me know what you think about what I've said in this video, what you agree with, what you don't agree with. If anyone has any optimistic and positive takes on what the future holds, I'd be particularly interested. Equally, if you've got any negative and pessimistic, I would be equally as interested. So please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.